Alright guys, welcome back. Hope you're doing well, hope you're all keeping safe. The Faye Lau Manhunt has just begun, and a couple of people have been asking whether or not Massive have made any changes to the narrative in order to set up the new content. I've seen it on Twitter, and more recently I've seen it on Facebook. Now personally, this thought didn't even cross my mind at all, for obvious reasons, I think. When I do say a couple of people, it must have been more than that, because Yannick felt the need to address it recently in a tweet saying the following: Agents, I want to make sure you have the right expectations heading into the final confrontation with Faye Lau. I see speculations that this rerun will come with alterations to the narrative. It won't. Season 7 End of Watch is an identical rerun of Season 4 End of Watch. So there you have it. As expected, don't go into the Faye Lau Manhunt expecting anything to be different, because it's not going to be. And be honest guys, I'm a little bit surprised that people thought this would happen. You know me, I love my speculation, and I've certainly made some questionable speculation videos before, so not judging anyone. But this for me was a big stretch, and as we've got here, it's not going to happen. Don't worry guys, you're not getting a 25-minute video on just this tweet. What I wanted to cover in this video particularly is following on from this next tweet from Yannick. It actually feeds into a topic that I want to cover. Yannick said the following: our storyline will continue with the new season coming in February. So as I've previously covered, we are getting new seasons with the next update, confirmed by Pally Hofstein way in advance of any official confirmation. I think we've actually only officially had confirmation of at least one season. I don't know if we've had official confirmation of more than one, but it's going to be 4 seasons, guys, the same as it has been previously. Story-wise, I have a good idea what might happen, or at least what I want to happen, and I will be covering that as soon as I possibly can. But first, there needs to be one huge addition to the game in order for the seasons to be worth playing. So let's talk. If you want to support me, you don't have to do anything, guys. You don't even have to move your hands. Just watch the video all the way to the end. That's it. Thank you very much. It seems that with every video idea that I have, something major has to be included within this next update. You know, I talked about, or I will be talking about mods in the future. We talked about specialization revamp, and that certainly was something that was needed for the game. And there just appears to be quite a lot of major things that the game needs to introduce with this next update in order to best serve this community. And that's all I'm trying to do, guys, is I'm trying to best serve you guys, and myself obviously, and speak this stuff into existence, just in case anyone at Massive is listening and they maybe want to act on it. This one, however, is probably now top of my list, and that is a map expansion. I'd never really considered how important some sort of map expansion is going to be until this tweet today from Yannick. It only really just clicked for me. With the Warlords of New York DLC, we got a new map expansion which was really great. It was something that people was definitely asking for, as the Washington D.C. map had become a little bit boring after playing through it so much. I mean, it was only a year, but it felt like we played through it so much that the new map in New York was really great. By the time the new content comes out in February, the New York map expansion would be nearly, 2 years old, I think? And I think it's safe to assume most of us are probably very bored of running the same missions, the same control points, and going to the same areas of interest. Now, I will say I've not explored every section of that New York map, but unless there's content there, for me, it's not really that interesting. Sure, it looks beautiful. There's no doubt about that. But if it hasn't got content there, something to do, I'm not all that interested. So all of that stuff has definitely been completed by me, and I guess most of you guys. So definitely people are going to be bored at this point. I am looking forward to the new narrative and what Massive have cooked up. With Faye Lau gone and still plenty of stories wide open, there's plenty of things Massive could do here. But personally, story will always come second best to gameplay. If you can't engage me with the gameplay content, then I'm not going to be interested in the story. That's just the way I feel. So with that in mind, the idea of picking up a new narrative, new seasons and a new manhunt target, whoever that's going to be, in the existing Washington D.C. and New York map, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like those two go together. They certainly don't gel. Now, I don't want to go back to Grand Washington Hotel for intel on a new Manhunt. I've played every control point a million times already. It's by far my favourite activity in the game. That's not to say I don't enjoy control points, but going back to the same ones to have some new target appear is not something that would excite me at all, even if the devs had made some minor adjustments to those particular engagements like they did with Camp White Oak and the Faye Lau Manhunt. It won't feel new, and that for me will be the biggest problem with the new content on the current maps, and why I absolutely think we need a new map expansion, whether that be in Washington D.C. or New York. If I had to pick, I'd want another map expansion in the New York area, and I think if we are going to get one, it will be another part of the New York area. I have seen people previously picking out areas they believe where it could happen based on features that's already in the game, etc, etc. I won't go into those, but yeah, if they're going to do it, I think it will be part of New York. I hope they do. Now, do I think Massive would have thought of this? Yes, I do, but I don't know how much work goes into adding a new map. I'm going to presume it's quite a lot, and with a limited amount of resources working on this new content, a limited amount of devs and all that sort of stuff, I'm not going to hold my breath that this is going to happen. But I'd happily trade the time invested into revamping certain things like the specialization system for a new map. You know, revamping can be done at a later date, but you can't release the new content and then add a map later. That must come first, and we know they're going to be doing more than one title update for next year. They've already said that before, and I'm going to assume again that these other title updates that we get, they're going to be fixing stuff and maybe changing some stuff and adding some new stuff into the game, like gear, the same way they did with year 2. They're going to be adding new guns and all that sort of stuff for every new season. It would make sense for me that if they are planning on adding a map, that it comes first, and then if they want to revamp mods or revamp anything, you know, how NPCs or, you know, the blue, red, yellow system, whatever it might be, if they want to revamp that stuff, they could do that in one of those next title updates. But the new map, yeah, has to come first. Now, I've reached out to Yannick asking if we're going to get a new map expansion, but I know I won't get any response, and that's absolutely fine. I completely understand. It's just a hopeful tweet. You know, I appreciate that Yannick can't say anything without being given the green light by Ubisoft, and they're not going to just respond to me on Twitter saying, yes, we're getting a map expansion. That's a pretty big reveal. That will come at a time when Ubisoft say it can come, and probably in a completely different format to just a tweet. So, yeah, not expecting to hear anything about that. But we'll see what happens. Now, I want you guys to let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. I don't think any of you are going to disagree with me when I say a new map would be really, really awesome. It would also be, I think, pretty unexpected. I also think most of you will agree a new map is critical for the new seasons and manhunts to land with excitement from the community. I think most people put gameplay before story, and I can't imagine running the same New York map for the 3rd year and the Washington D.C. map for the 4th year with just some new manhunts and stuff. Like I said, I mean, the story needs to be told through the gameplay, and if I'm going to be playing the same control points and the same missions that I've been playing for the last 3 or 4 years in order to tell that story, I'm not going to be excited to hear that story because the gameplay just won't be there for me. It won't feel new to me. And so I really think the devs have thought about, I hope the devs have really thought about this. I think they might have done, but part of me thinks that they're not going to have the resources to pull this off. I'd be very, let's be honest guys, I'll be very surprised if we get a new map expansion. My expectations for a possible new map are the lowest they possibly can be, and that way I can't be disappointed. And before I end this video guys, I just want to say this. I think you have to set your expectations low with this new content. We know the new game mode is being developed by UB Bucharest, who did Iron Horse. I think they might have even done Dark Hours Raid. They can produce some really good content, but don't have high expectations, because when you have high expectations, you're bound to be disappointed. Even the best games ever to release, a lot of people were disappointed initially because expectations always exceed the actual game. And so with this new content, honestly guys, put your expectations on the floor, and that way you can't be disappointed. And certainly when it comes to a map expansion, something like I said, I only really thought about until I saw this tweet from Yannick and thought, you know what, new seasons, that stuff, we need a map expansion, it has to happen. but I'm not expecting it. And I don't want you guys to expect it either. Thanks for watching. If you're still here, I really do appreciate you sticking around to the end. It's by far the best way for you guys to support my video on my channel. With that said, make sure notifications are turned on to never miss a video if you haven't already. Maybe drop a like if you enjoyed this one. I am going to be pushing out more and more content as we gear up to the new content, as I want to, get back on that Division train. Something that I've not really been on over the last couple of months or 6 months to a year, just because there's been no content there. But with the new content coming out, we've got the new apparel event. I want to gear up towards that, and obviously I'll be covering everything for you guys, however big or however small. And obviously with this tweet from Yannick, it kind of filtered into the video idea that I had anyway, so it was a win-win for me. Until the next one, epic out.